We're going to open this meeting for the Nottingham Board of Select for the date of February 22nd, 2021. As we're going to start off right now with the national anthem. Not national anthem.
Can we sing, John?
Yeah. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So sorry, it's going to get to a different screen.
Can you see the
agenda? You have the agenda right there. Perfect. Yeah. So we'll start off with the approval. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes and the payroll manifests?
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of February 22nd, 2021, and the payroll manifest of February 23rd, 2021.
Second.
Got a motion in a second? All in favor?
Aye, Donna Danis.
Aye, Tony Dumas.
Aye, Tyler.
Aye, John Moore. I will move quickly to the minutes. There isn't any, about the reports from assigned boards. Budget, there isn't anything there. Planning?
Planning board, we were on the development owned by Jeff Cole down off of Smoke Street and Kennard. We did a site visit Saturday, and then they did a site visit also over on the Guile Road. And then we had a hearing for Tammy DeFrancisco, the snowmobile, or whatever you call it, watercross. And they didn't have all the documentation they needed and were told what to bring back at a later date.
Okay. CIP?
CIP is done for this year.
Good. 300th?
300th. I had a Zoom meeting last week, just going over, all the stuff that they've been up to, and we're starting to get their advertisement booklet together. I don't know if Steve wants to add anything else.
One thing I'd like to add, if I can, guys, we're in the process of doing some town banners and flags, and I think we've already brought that before the board, and I think we approved some money to throw at that. But at this point, we're looking to buy probably at least 6 welcome to Nottingham pole banners, with a date 17/22, 2022, and some artwork in the middle of it, the town seal, the Historical Society's man and woman. We thought of maybe using that ink drawing the young lady did that you're presenting to Gunner, maybe use that on one of them. Maybe something with the Techway Mountain and Lakes. And then historical flags that we wanted to fly up at the square. We wanted to do that, probably put all of these up this year to try to promote things to come for the following year. And then actually we'll take them down in the fall and re-put them up next, as soon as the weather gets better in 2022. So just wanted to make sure you're all on board with that.
Do you have a proposed budget for us for that? How much it's going to cost?
I think we proposed that already, but I don't have it right in front of me. I'm sorry, didn't come in totally prepared tonight. But I think it was around $40 to $50 a flag, and if I remember right, the banners were probably around $75 a piece. Then you got some hardware, which we're going to look into trying to purchase the flag hardware from a different company so we can save some money. So just wanted to keep you all on board with that. We can talk about it and finalize payment on that at a later date. But things are moving really good. Like Tyler said, we're going to start soliciting for money for our program book. Hopefully that'll raise us some more funding. Things are really coming together, and we look forward to a great year in 2022. And look
Somebody,
forward to
sorry, John, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what we did was that we authorized Chris to, kind of connect with Steve and team on the budget and, the expenditures out of that. Am I recalling that right, Chris?
Yeah, I just don't know how broad that was. I wasn't expecting to get into this tonight, so I didn't do any homework about that. But we did do some of that, but I don't remember how far it went. I don't think it was open-ended, Donna.
Okay, all right.
I didn't know if there was like a budget line of like, if they're going to spend, $1,000 that we had to give the authorization for it. If there was we had a limit towards what they're going to spend. Because this is obviously going to be a good size purchase out of that fund. So I'm for it anyways, but okay. I'm sure Marston's just a snowfield. So, right. Anything else?
Hey, no, slow down.
Okay. Well, just asking.
Slow down. I have really good news around Marston.
Good. It's good to hear.
There's a team. We've been meeting bi-weekly, the fundraising committee, doing an amazing, fantastic job. Both folks from the NYA and folks who are just volunteering their time. And I'm really happy to report one of the things that the NYA did. They're starting to register kids for spring sports. And in their registration form, they added a checkbox for making voluntary contributions to Marston development. And through that team has raised $500. And even more exciting than that, the team that we have together that's working overall on fundraising has started once we get past Christmas and, the terrible situation in the fall. They've started getting a little more aggressive about getting sponsorships from businesses. And we are currently in the process of finalizing some commitments that could bring us in around $22,000 in funding. So the wheels are turning there. We're starting to see some good progress. I don't want to forget anyone, so I'm not going to name any names on this meeting, but I will bring the list to the next meeting because the team's doing a fantastic job. In addition, I think Chris and some of the folks from the NYA are finalizing an MOU, because one thing to understand is that NYA is going to be the conduit for funds donated to, for Marston. And the reason for that is because they are a 501c, is that the right number? To which contributions are tax deductible. So, and they have set up a separate fund to, kind of like take all of the Marston donations. So great working relationship with the NYA on this. One of the questions that did come up in the past week is, we think as a committee that it would be appropriate for us to send thank you notes to everyone who makes a donation. There's a couple, look at the website, there's a couple different ways. There's the NYA registration form. There's also people can donate via PayPal, via Venmo, or by sending a check directly to Nottingham Recreation. So what we want to do is make sure that we acknowledge these contributions, not only for tax purposes, but just as a heartfelt thank you to people by sending out a thank you note. So one of the questions that I have for the board is whether or not you have thoughts on who that note should be sent out from. Should it be sent out from me as the select board representative to Marston, or would you guys like to see it come from the whole select board? So great news on fundraising. One question for you guys.
Anybody want to chime in on that?
So wait, what was the question? If it was to come from the whole board?
So the thank you notes for the people who are making contributions.
Yeah.
Do you want those thank you notes to come from the whole board, or do you want them to come from me as the board's representative to the Marston efforts?
Should we be actually thanking them, or should it be the Nottingham Youth Association / rec department that's thanking them? Again, I'm just asking that as a general question. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you obviously as our rep is doing a great job. And the rest of us are kind of just,
Yeah.
we're not allocating any more money to it as, from the town. Again, I'm however you guys want to handle it. I'm not.
So I'm happy for them to come from me as someone who's been involved in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think having a select board member doing it does also reinforce the board's commitment to this project.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's fine.
And
I mean, either way.
I didn't want you guys to feel like I was excluding anybody if I just automatically said, okay, fine, I will send them out.
Yeah, I'm okay with it either way, whether it's, if you deliver the message or if we all, sign
You want to put your name and say for the rest of the members of the board also or something? That's fine too. Or
Okay.
you feel like you should have
Yeah.
Donna. I'll give you just to go for it.
Okay, fine. Tyler, you cool with that?
Yep.
Okay, so then the one other thing that is going on and that involves Tyler, well, two things. Carl Eden is putting together plans for a golf tournament in the fall to raise funds for this as well. And then Tyler, I know Carl is reaching out to you as well to kind of start to have some conversations about how we might be able to get electricity out to Marston.
I got a message from him today.
Yeah. So I have to say I'm extremely proud of and thankful for the folks who are working on the committee that are putting a lot of time into this and to the fundraising. And, we're really starting to see some great traction now.
Great.
It's awesome.
Before we go to the next thing, were the minutes approved? My internet is continuing to go in and out.
Yeah, that was my question too, Lorraine. I was going to circle back to that. John, there were minutes from Feb 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 8th, 2021.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on the minutes.
I was not at the meeting. Donna Danis was not at the meeting, so I will abstain.
I, Tony Dumas.
Hi, Tyler Eaton.
Hi, John Moore. Sorry about that, missing that, guys.
I thought it was my internet, so no worries.
No, that was my fault. Town administrator report. Chris, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm having internet challenges as well. So if I disappear, I will be back on the phone. But I seem to be with you now. A few things. One of the outstanding court cases against the town, Frumosa versus Nottingham, as well as versus a few other parties. That was a case where a homeowner in town sued the town and their builder over concerns with the condition of the property they built and bought. Sued us, the town, and the building inspector individually for what was basically a problem with their foundation. That case has been dismissed. Our attorneys made a motion to dismiss that case a couple months ago, and that came through on Friday. Not a surprise. The state law is very clear about our liabilities as a town there, but since we're in cross-off lawsuit mode, I just thought I'd highlight that one. We now have just 2 cases that we're involved in. One is an abatement case going to the Superior Court, and the other is the class action case regarding private roads. Everything else is pretty well tied up, but it looks like we've got another utility abatement question brewing. Those of you that have been around a while know that seems to come up every year or two. You're going to see an abatement, and I don't know where that's going to lead, but everything else is tied up, wrapped up. I don't know if you have any questions about that. That really didn't consume a lot of the board's time and energy. Hearing none, I'll move on. We just completed our first payroll run with ADP, the outside payroll service. Still kind of swallowing it and make sure everything worked okay. Those of you that get direct deposit may notice some changes. And just take a look at your withholdings next time yours comes through. That's one thing we've seen some differences with. So far so good, but as I said, we're still kind of just getting through the first one. So if you see anything that looks funny, please let us know. This is just the beginning of changes. Once we know that the back half of the system works, we'll start to roll out the front end of the system, which is the time and attendance tracking that we'll do to get off of paper timesheets. We now have, we just finished internet installation up at the recycling center. So we have ways for all of our employees to punch in and access all of their payroll records themselves. They'll be able to see how much earned time they have in their vacation and sick time, and all their withholdings and everything will all be really right at their fingertips once we get into that system. So we're looking forward to that. And lastly, the Maple Ridge development, just last week, the building inspector issued the last of the certificates of occupancy for construction over there. That's the last house that is now done on Maple Ridge. That was the biggest subdivision in town for quite a while. It was under construction or in process. And there's no lots left. There's no, I don't think there are any lots left, any houses left to build. That process started in 2010, I think, and left the planning board in 2013. Just as a look back, how long it takes to get through a big subdivision process like that.
I was there.
What's that, John?
Nothing. I was there for that. So
you were on the planning board back then?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a particularly long and drawn out affair with the planning board before my time, but I could see in the record that it took a few attempts. Those are also the last, I believe, the last we had on the pipeline that were exempt from impact fees. Those came in the door before the impact fee ordinance. So far in the past that they came in the door before the impact fee ordinance was adopted. So that's the last of those exempt ones. I presume that I haven't looked at the planning board record, but I would assume that, like most developments like this, after another year or so, we will see a request to accept that as a Class 5 town road. But we'll probably wait a year before that comes along. But other than that, the town's pretty well done with it.
Plowing it though right now, aren't we?
We are not.
Really?
Nope. We do Oak Ridge and the other end, Friar Tuck.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's all I have for you.
Seeing the next item was action items review. We don't have any. The list on there, we have assessing, which we actually have some veterans tax credits to approve. Is that what it is? I'm not on the.
Yes.
Anybody want to make a motion on approving these veterans tax credits?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. The select board approve all 4 veteran tax credits as displayed on the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I, Donna Danus.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
Hi, Tyler Eaton.
Aye, John Moran. One other thing too is we had a little discussion last time on one of the abatements, and you don't have to further review. And I hope, did anybody read the letter from Jonathan from Avatar?
Yep.
After doing more research on there, even though I don't agree with it, because of what the state statute is for considering a steep lot to a sloping or a rolling lot, as Avatar has put them. And I think those properties that are, but they're, he is right that all the properties listed by that abutter, I mean, that, I don't know what, the guy that's asking for the, the abatement on it, on the thing to get it changed. Everybody over there is on a rolling. Even though they have like 3 flights of steps in order to get up from the water up to their basement, to their house, which would would categorize that as being steep, but I can understand Jonathan's point of view about not wanting to change, because then you'd have to change everybody. So on that one there, I think we have to stick with the recommendation. In my opinion, we stick with the recommendation of what Avatar said, and we deny the application.
Yeah, we voted on that last time, right?
Yeah, I know. We were waiting for back from the letter from hearing from Jonathan. Is how I thought we left it off. So that's why I just wanted to make sure we went, for my own clarification, I guess.
So there was a vote at the last meeting that stands.
Okay.
Yes.
No, that was a question. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No other action necessary.
Okay.
Everybody get to look at the special event licensings?
Yes.
Discussion on it?
One question I had, Chris, is does this impact anything that happens at the school, or is this town only?
I'm sorry, I had a little break up there. Can you repeat that?
So this special event policy, does it apply to like boards in town or the school that want to have events?
Well, that's kind of an open question of what do you want to regulate? The way I have drafted it, here is anything that is sponsored or run by the town. That would typically be a rec department event. Is exempt from this. But I did not assume that you wanted to do that with school events. I just kind of left it there as a, what do you want to do? I think we're involved enough. They don't have anything really big that involves anything other than actual school activities. They're not running things for the general public. So I'd be comfortable exempting them from that, but they are a separate legal entity. So that's something you'd have to tell me to do.
Okay. So, I mean, there's some highlighted yellow areas in this document that you sent us, and is that stuff that you want us to discuss and comment on, or is that stuff that you feel like you need to do some more research on and make recommendations?
Both. The school question was one for you. Insurance, I'm going to have a conversation with Primex about the trick with this whole thing really is how how complex do you want to make this? How much do you want to try and anticipate every little? How much do you want to just let people live their lives and do their thing without us getting involved unnecessarily? So insurance is one that I have to do more homework on. And then another one that's open is how do you want to handle events with multiple occurrences that spread over a long period of time? And then the example that came to mind was the car show at Liars. Do you want to try and license that, or do you want to try and write this in a way that we can let things like that happen without our blessing?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I would say, I mean, my first thought is not to get too deep in the weeds with the requirements, just write it such that like all of the applicable RSAs, that the policy covers all the general requirements of the applicable RSAs, but not get so detailed to the point of being onerous with requirements on individuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with it, and I'll be honest in that my perspective is probably a biased one, because and I'm just kind of throwing this out in the context of the conversation. Like if it was my impact, like I wouldn't feel that the Liars car show has a big impact on the people in the surrounding neighborhood, right? Whereas I think something that is loud and has lots of people for an entire weekend is more of an inconvenience. But that's just kind of like my feelings, and I don't know that plays into a policy such as this. So I don't know how to reconcile that, to be perfectly honest.
No, I mean, I see where you're going with that. Like the Liars event, it's for what, a couple hours on a weekend evening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's low impact in the community, as opposed to like if there was a Nottingham fair that ran for a week, that would be high impact to the entire community,
Yeah.
So
What about like a non-profit event and a profitable event? So water crossing thing, again, not to use them as an example, but that's a profitable event. And then you have the non-profit, like 2 weeks ago, or was it last, whatever, they had the ice golf thing, which all the donations went, I mean, no one was making money off it. It was all for nonprofit and charity. But that had 50 to 60 people there. So
Yeah.
they literally had to fill a permit out.
So I don't know under law if that distinction is allowed, or how do you, I know, I understand, and I'm just kind of throwing stuff out as well. It's kind of like, how do you determine, like in the case of an organization that donates a portion of its proceeds to a charity?
Right.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Chris, what you've drafted, is that consistent with what you've seen other communities have?
Yeah, most of it's just stolen from other communities.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
But there's a lot of there's really a wide spread of different communities approaching this differently. You think about a Laconia or a Portsmouth that are event magnet kind of communities versus, there's really a wide variety. I saw one that tried to parse out that profit versus nonprofit.
Yeah.
But I get kind of, and I totally understand where that's coming from. You want to, you want to put an extra eye on a business that may or may not have connection to the community, but from a legal point of view, your real basis for regulating and licensing this at all is its impact on the neighborhood and town assets and the roads and things, and whether the event runner is a for-profit or a nonprofit entity doesn't really matter. You could have a nonprofit fireworks show or a for-profit fireworks show.
Yeah.
They're just as disruptive.
Yeah.
So I did see an example of that particular distinction, but I couldn't get comfortable with it. I can go back and look at it some more if you want to pursue that distinction. It's not impossible. It just I couldn't get there first try.
Yeah.
What about Deerfield? Like with the fair and all, or is that really apples and oranges with the kind of thing that we're likely to, kind of event that we're likely to have?
Yeah, what Deerfield, I might have actually seen Deerfield. So what towns with big flagship events like that often just carve them out completely. They're exempt from a general regulation, and then they address them some other way. And Deerfield's got a unique and long history with the Fairground Association, so I'm pretty sure they have a policy like this, but just completely excludes the Deerfield Fair.
So would Epping probably have something similar?
I don't know if I found anything for Epping or not. A lot of this came from Swansea and everybody's got them in some flavor or another, I suppose. But
I would like to keep it as vague as possible.
Okay.
And keeping our true Nottingham, and not be overbearing and be in, limit people for what they got to do and charge them for stuff. But I understand
the way to do that may be the best way to do that may be through event size. We are asking an event promoter or organizer what they expect their attendance or participation may be. Maybe we just try and make it really, really small and nondescript and unobtrusive for under 50 or whatever the number is, and then ratchet up the deal once you get over a couple hundred participants or something. I don't know if that helps.
It's not a bad idea.
Protect the long time, small time things from our intrusion, and still protects us against a carnival or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's
number
a big,
like 250 or 300. So maybe not as big as 5, but at least that's going to be. If you have 203 people gathering, that is almost the request and need probably for a officer to be there, or another officer to be on duty for that event, or something like that.
Well, I'd be curious to know what Fawn thinks about that number.
Okay, yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. There's probably a threshold, but what is that threshold number?
It may depend on who you expect the crowd to be.
Yeah.
But that's discriminatory.
So, if you're going to have a if you're going to have a a snowmobile race, I'm not picking on the thing that is working its way through the planning board right now, but just an example like that where you've got 250 people with coolers versus 250 people at a church tent revival. The PD is going to look at those differently. So
right, good point. Good point.
And also the size of the event has a direct correlation to the impact on town services, namely public safety services. If you've got a 50-person event and there's a medical emergency, somebody has a heart attack or something, that it's one thing. But then if you've got a large event and then you have a mass casualty incident, then that's going to put a huge impact on our safety assets. we'd have to call in extra ambulances, other responders. So, the bigger the event, the bigger the potential impact in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, to Chris's point, though, you could have 50 people who are, bringing in alcohol and stuff like that,
Right.
versus 100 people who aren't drinking. So the kind of the risk there is, I don't know.
Not having any events though, like on public, town property, right? There's all private property stuff. I could see if somebody wanted to have something on town property, they should be insured and everything. Just in case anything happened, because it seems like
Yes, that would invite a whole nother level of scrutiny. And somebody wanted to have a large scale event on town property, the board would be involved with that, regardless of whatever this licensing arrangement would be. But
what do you need from the board on this tonight, Chris?
I'll take that feedback and see if I can simplify this a little bit, or find another way to distinguish between heavy-handed and soft-handed, for lack of a better word. This is just, I just needed that initial taste from you, and we'll work on it between the public safety chiefs and I. We'll see what we can come up with.
You needed that.
I don't expect you to solve all that tonight.
You needed that initial unclarity from the board on this.
Yeah, and I just to make sure I was reading the tone that you wanted correctly, and that that's enough. That's good enough for us to keep rolling with it.
Okay.
This isn't pressing. We will have events that it applies to, but there's nothing on fire right now, so we can work on it.
Okay.
All right. Since it's 7:08, is Mr. Spagna here? I take that maybe as no.
I don't.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hey, okay.
Yes.
How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm sorry?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. The
I'm
floor
a
is yours.
first-time viewer, so bear with me.
Sure.
Can you hear me all right, or?
Yep.
Okay. So, I know I talked to Chris probably, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or so about a concern I've been having, and over the last several years in particular, but it's getting worse now. So I just wrote down a few thoughts and concerns. It'll take a few minutes to read to you if you're open to that.
Mike, could you actually do one thing too? Could you give us your actual address for the record for the town?
Yep. It's 76 Stevens Hill Road.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, if you're going to read something, can you just forward it along to me? Because my internet's spotty and I'm not going to catch it.
Yeah, I just wrote down on paper just what my thoughts were and stuff.
I'll
but I could. Okay. Yeah. Everybody good or?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, my name's Mike Spagna. I live on Stevens Hill, and I have for the past 20 years. I'm here tonight to discuss a possible noise ordinance in the town, in particular, target shooting. As an avid hunter and a gun owner, it took me a couple of years to finally come to the town and ask for this. I do believe the time is now. Over the last several years, the problem has been getting worse. I am a small business owner in town and mainly work in town. The shooting I hear during the day is surprising from each end of town. Now it's happening at night as well. Stevens Hill Road has been a real problem the last few years. I'm sure our police department can vouch for that. 20 years ago, our road was a quiet and peaceful road. It's considered a scenic road. People walk their pets, couples walk their young children in strollers, and some have horses. People like to sit near yards in the summer and fall and have a nice dinner outside with their family, or simply just play with their kids or pets outside. All the while, you have people shooting close to the road and houses. Gunshots that echo throughout the neighborhood and beyond. As a gun owner, I would never consider shooting out my back door for one reason and one reason only: respecting the neighbors and the people on the road. There has been a real lack of respect, and I believe this is just plain and simple common sense. How does one not know that this is disruptive? It might be legal in some cases, but I'm sure many are not. People are sick and tired of hearing this nonsense. There are many places within a 15-mile radius that are ranges, and many more are being built as we speak. Again, this has and will continue to be an issue if something is not done about it. It's only going to be a matter of time when a stray bullet ricochets and goes somewhere it's not supposed to. Trust me, it's happened to me on my property. I know many people, including myself, didn't move here to raise a family and listen to that. We are losing our quiet and peaceful Nottingham. That is why I'm here. I care. Many people now work from home. Some kids are in remote learning. Again, this is all about noise and the disruption that it causes. I'm asking the board to please consider implementing a noise ordinance for target shooting in town. Thank you. Everybody still there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're deep in thought apparently.
So, this is, like I said, it's been on my mind for a couple years. It's progressively gotten worse, and it's from all ends of town. I'm sure if you go to the police department, it's well documented, and I really think something needs to be done about it. And it's hard for me because I am a gun owner. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I spend a lot of time in the woods, but it's really disruptive. It's really gotten out of control.
I don't know how this would be policed. I mean, if this was to be an action the board would like to consider, I mean, we probably have to do a warrant article for it, or a whole noise, and have to go through planning board and do everything like that in order to get to this level.
Sure.
Before, to put a blatant, just say, hey, you can't fire your gun. I understand where you're coming from. I can hear the gunshots behind my house and stuff like this. I've been here for just basically as long as you too. So,
right. But when it's right next to your house, when it's right next to your house, it's disturbing.
It's supposed to be 300 feet away from any dwelling or residence, correct?
I'm well aware of the setbacks. being a hunter, I know, you know, where you can and can't discharge a firearm and stuff. And I get that. I totally get it. That's why I've had a hard time, you know, basically, you know, coming to you and seeing if we can resolve something here. There's a lot of people that are concerned, worried, and I guess I'm being the voice for at least the people on my road in my neighborhood. You know, I know a lot of people are unhappy. You know, it's just, it's gotten to a point where it's just, like I said, it's out of control. I mean, I'd like the town to step up and, you know, and just, and consider doing something, you know, some sort of, you know, noise ordinance. I know other towns have them, but I don't know of the whole process, you know, as far as what it takes to get one. You know, but this is a start, I guess.
Well, you need a citizen's petition in order to get onto a warrant article set up. And then you'd have to get some sort of, and let the town people vote. I do not feel comfortable as a Board of Selectmen member to say no to anybody from shooting whenever they want in this town. You know, and I'm not even a gun advocate by any means, but that's Nottingham. And, you know, I understand the disturbance on your part, and I understand the noise, because again, I hear it too, but I think if it's something gonna have to do, it's gonna have to be a town vote on it and not a board decision. Well, from my opinion, obviously.
Yeah, and that's probably what I was thinking as well. I didn't think it was going to be a decision by X amount of people. I think it would be something that would have to be, you know, a town vote thing. But I just don't, you know, like I said, this is the beginning stages. I just don't know where to go from here. You know, you know, Chris told me to come to the board, and here I am. You know, I mean, I've called the police department, and many people have, and you know, it's I'm not saying it hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, I get it. You know, if you're legal, you're legal. You know, it's just, I don't know. People are coming in here and thinking that you know, they can go shooting next to somebody's house. And I mean, the lack of respect is, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd have a hard time moving into a house and going out my back door and just blasting away and not knowing who your neighbors are. And the first thing that pops into my head is I'm not shooting because, you know, it's going to basically tick people off and disrupt people. But I guess my thinking is a lot different than many nowadays.
I'll go on a limb too, and I'll agree with you on that. The people and the respect that they have for others is not there.
It's not.
So, and I'm not,
and it's frustrating
on that one bit.
So
you know,
But I don't think there's anything. I don't know what we can do for you right now on it. I mean, I understand the concern, but
John, if I could interrupt.
yeah.
Chris, in the case of ordinances like this, is it as simple as somebody putting a petition warrant article forward and having the town vote yes or no on it? Because it seems to me the process would be a little more complicated than that.
I mean, can the chief of police write up a noise ordinance? I mean,
hey, Mike, I'm sorry, I was addressing that to Chris Starndale to try to understand the process.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not spent a whole lot of time with this, so it'll take some more homework. But there is a state law that would allow the board to ordain something related to noise. You know, that would, and that's what a lot of towns do. They have something enacted by the town council or the select board.
Yeah.
And I know that exists. Presumably, if that exists, then there's probably a vehicle for the board to put that before the town as a warrant article. And I'd have to do some more homework on how to do it by petition. But I think that's probably doable as well. You could also do something through the zoning ordinance, which is the planning board process. There are some components in our current zoning ordinance about noise around construction activity and that kind of thing. This is obviously a little more challenging.
Yep.
I
So-
think any ordinance that we were going to craft couldn't specifically target, no pun intended, but couldn't target gun owners, right? It would just have to be an ordinance regulating noise in general, right?
Yes, I would assume so.
Yeah.
Okay, so my reason for asking that, and Mike, for your benefit, the reason for asking that was you could put a petition warrant article forward, right? But those types of petition warrant articles are considered typically advisory, right? So then it would come back to the select board in one instance to determine how to move forward with that, right? So that is one potential avenue. But then Chris, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but another potential avenue would be for Mike to go and talk to the planning board. Is that correct?
For Mike to go and
Talk to the planning board.
yeah, I don't know how easy it would be to do that through the zoning ordinance. That might take a little more homework. I think the better options would be town meeting or select board. But like I said, I need to do more homework on it. If it's something that the board is interested in tasking us with, we will put more work into it. But I think the zoning ordinance angle is a little tougher to put the enforcement teeth in it. From a you don't have police officers enforcing a zoning ordinance.
Right.
So you need a different flavor of ordinance that a police officer can enforce, because that's the kind of enforcement that you're presumably looking for, not the code enforcement officer to come out and tell you to move your shed.
Right.
Kind of enforcement, right? So
Right.
I don't think the zoning ordinance planning board angle is the way to go.
So Mike, does that all make sense to you?
It kind of does. Yeah, it's just a process that I'm still, trying to figure out, and because I want to pursue this, I just want to make sure I do it the right way.
Yep.
I'll say, Mike, that I do recognize was somebody else talking? Okay. Yeah, Mike, I do recognize the problem that you're seeing. I'm also a gun owner, but I learned how to safely handle weapons in the military, and it's all based on personal discipline and control and knowing where your bullets are going and so on. And I would certainly never go firing off in the neighborhood without knowing where those bullets are landing, or firing in crazy hours, whether it's my right or not, because there's like you said, it's just a matter of courtesy for your next door neighbor. And even in my neighborhood, we've had a couple incidents, one last fall, one a few years ago. Somebody on an adjoining street was decided to start firing off automatic weapons in the woods behind their house. And unfortunately, the people on my side of the street where I live, we were downrange from those bullets. So, that was a problem. And then last fall, one of my neighbors got a bullet through his window, ricocheting, through his living room, from someone nearby that was not shooting the required distance away from a populated area. So, there's some enforcement issues, as well, as far as the, keeping an eye on the setbacks or enforcing the setbacks, but also the, again, I would never try to restrict, a gun owner's rights, any more than I want mine restricted. But I would also expect the same amount of courtesy, consideration, and safety from my fellow gun owners in town. As I have learned, most folks in town with guns, I expect have a military background in it. But either way, it's like I said, it's a matter of courtesy, right? Just you have a driver's license, and you can drive wherever you want, whenever you want, but that doesn't entitle you to go do donuts on your neighbor's front lawn, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
And I think to Donna's point, you can put forward a citizen petition article, but it won't have the same kind of teeth than if the town tries to put forward something using the existing mechanisms that we have to try to implement.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong though, because there's two different scenarios here. The example that you gave, Tony, like noise is one thing, but if somebody puts a bullet through your window, that's a different situation that should be enforceable by the police department, correct?
Yes. Assuming you can find the person.
Yeah.
And then with the other scenario, the automatic weapons, the person involved was firing illegal weapons and automatic weapons that were illegal to own. So
Mike, the noise ordinance is a tough one, right? Because I'm like Tony, I don't like hearing somebody shooting guns constantly, but the question is, where do we draw the line, right? Because someone could have a snowmobile and drive back and forth, behind my house for 4 hours, and the noise could annoy me. Or somebody could drive a jet ski around the lake in front of John's house and ignore him, right? So it becomes difficult because how do you draw the line on noise, right?
Fireworks, Donna, fireworks.
Fireworks, right.
Well,
there is substantial
and
case law on breaches of the peace that I think probably are relevant when it comes to crafting a noise ordinance. You know what I mean? But I think that's like Chris was saying, it's something we got to do our homework on.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably enough. It's a well enough explored topic that I think that we would have we could have confidence that we could draw a fair line with an ordinance that wouldn't be offensive to the majority of people.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, noise is noise. Noise could be right. You're a snowmobile, whatever, a chainsaw. And I'm specifically saying target shooting. I understand that, noise is noise and you can't target gun owners. And I get that. I guess it's something, I mean, I don't know about other towns, but if a noise could be anything that's disruptive, I guess. I mean, so someone said that as far as you can't target the gun owner, you can't just say, okay, it's just for target shooting. It's not for riding your jet ski on the water back and forth in front of a house or snowmobile, etc. It would be just for noise itself. You couldn't specifically just put an ordinance for target shooting, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of ordinances, and Mike, I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just kind of looking at this from the perspective of what the board can and can't do. I think
Sure.
some ordinances are might be centered around time of day, right?
Yes.
Where, you know, which has to do more with the peace at night, which you're not likely to have people shooting guns during the nighttime period, right?
Well, I'm up on Stevens Hill on the weekend at
Well,
8,
I'm
9
talking-
o'clock at night.
Well, I mean,
It's-
most of those ordinances are around like 10 p.m., right?
Yeah, I didn't even think you could discharge your firearm at night. I know
No,
in
that's-
hunting.
That's my point. My point is that,
Yeah.
you know, most noise ordinances are time-based, and it's not going to be relevant to
Right.
people doing target shooting. And I'm with you, Mike. I don't
Yeah.
want somebody
Yeah.
next door doing target shooting either. I just don't know, you know, like
Yeah.
legally where
tough.
we
Yeah,
stand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I get it. It's just something that's been on my mind for quite some time, and it's gotten to a point where, you know, something needs to be said first, and you know, I guess we'll take it from there and see what happens. But, you know, I needed to express myself to you because it's something that's just been absolutely brutal. And hopefully there's a way that we can figure it out for everybody. And that's what I'd like to see. I would really like to pursue this and, you know, see what happens.
Well, knowing that you understand the board's position and that we understand yours, if there's any, you know, I do think the members of the board here have to do some background homework on it, but if there's anything
Sure.
that you come across that you think that would be helpful to us, I would encourage you to send it to Chris and he'll forward it to all of us.
Okay. Yeah. I have a connection I'm gonna talk to that that might be able to help me out as far as, you know, what they have in their town, and you know, anything I can share, I certainly will. But I appreciate everything.
Anybody have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Good too.
Thanks for bringing this to us, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Do we have a review of any action items for next meeting?
I think somebody had their hand up in the room, but I don't see it now, and I don't know who it was. Oh,
Lynn Susie.
yeah, I'll unmute her.
Hi there, it's Lynn Susie. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm afraid I don't know exactly the process of how these meetings go, but obviously I wasn't on the agenda.
You're fine. Go right ahead.
I live at 77 Stevens Hill Road, and I know that Mike just expressed a lot of views, and I don't want to take up more time, but I just did want to emphasize that I'm in agreement with him, and just to kind of reiterate that the level of shooting is very extreme, and I have 2 small children, and it's disturbing to wake up, you know, at 1 a.m. to just multiple rounds of shooting going off and lasting on and off for 2-3 hours until 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's kind of like that level of shooting that's going on. So I just wanted to voice that I'm in agreement with Mike, as well as a lot of other neighbors, I believe. So I just wanted to say that, but I don't want to take more time. I know the issue's been kind of thoroughly discussed. It sounds like to the extent that it can be in this forum for right now.
Hey, Lynn, just a question. How is this person shooting at 1 a.m. in the morning? Do they have like a headlamp on or a light set up, or how is that happening?
I have no idea, and I don't know the exact neighbor where it's coming from. You know, I have 2 small kids, and my husband often works nights, so I don't really like go outside to try to listen exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if they're in the pitch dark just shooting, but it is just disturbing kind of to the degree of how uncontrolled it is in terms of the duration and just the rounds going off.
So could I just say something about that as far as how they're shooting?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so the nighttime shooting, they're not using a light from what I see. I know exactly where there's several people, first of all, that shoot. It's not just one, but one is the worst. They're not using a light. Okay, so I don't know where the bullets are going. You know, and this other person, he does it during the day, and that's where I had property damage. And so it's bad. I mean, it's gotten real bad. Automatic weapons at nighttime in the dark is trouble.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. I mean, there's many people, and I know on the other side of town, I do a lot of work over there, and I saw one person just firing, no backstop, no nothing, just firing away. And it's just, I don't know what people's mindsets are anymore. I really don't. And I'm sick of it. I'm really sick and tired of listening to it. All the neighbors are tired of it. Something has to be researched and done about it. I moved up here 20 years ago to live a good life with my family. And we are letting people, this is my opinion, we are letting people move into our town, in our nice, quiet, peaceful town. I love this town. And that's the reason why I'm speaking up, is we're letting them move in here, and we're letting them, and I shouldn't say do what they want, but it's just the disrespect level that has been going on the last several years is just amazing. I don't know what people's mindsets are. I really don't. That's pretty much all.
Any more on the subject? I think we all need to think about this. And it's nice that you brought it up in the forum. I appreciate that, Mike, just to put an awareness for other people in town. You know, and see how I'm sure this will bring up quite a bit of conversation.
I'm sure it will.
But again, it is what it is. You know, and again, we thank you for your time in bringing this to our attention.
Thanks for your time. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Okay. Again, we don't have any. Is there any action items we need for the meeting?
I don't think we've identified any.
It says on your thing, the preparation for the town meeting.
Oh, yes, that was.
Did we want to put into record the letter from Chief, the fire chief, about the bridge construction, in his opinion, or? Did we lose Chris?
I'm here.
Oh. Was that letter from the chief for us, or just in?
That was to the board, so you can do with it what you wish.
Well, everybody got to read it, right?
Yeah, I read it. Yep.
want to make sure we're aware that we notice the chiefs would like to see it done in phases and not as a one-time closure. This is the bridge on 152 that we had discussion at last meeting at.
Yeah.
He did put a formal letter into the board, so that'll be on our record for when we talk about this again in the future. Yeah, that's it. Anybody else have anything?
Town meeting prep, it was first item under general business.
Oh, sorry. Geez, I'm just going all over the place today. My bad. Yeah, we have to schedule a date. Is that what Bonnie was asking us for to do?
A time. We have a date.
Okay, sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think in law, that's probably a good thing to do. What I would suggest is that we pick a time. We can delay a posted time, but you can't start early. So if we're going to go after the school district deliberative session, maybe if you were to pick an 11 a.m. start, we can be pretty confident that the school district meeting would take something close to that, may go longer. We just don't want to have a big gap between the end of the school district meeting and the start of the town deliberative
They're starting at 9, correct?
meeting. Yes, 9, they start at 9.
Okay.
They're bound to have a lot of heavy discussion, related to the addition. So I'm thinking,
They don't think so, Tony.
really,
They think theirs is going to be really fast.
say if we planned on 9 to 12, right? And then there's always a break for lunch, I'm assuming, right? And then we pick up at 1. I mean, does that sound practical?
Well, to Chris's point about the fact that you can't start early, but you can start later, we could say, like, they start at 9, because there are going to be people who want to stay through, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Bonnie's not going to let there be lunch served or anything, correct?
Oh, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah. So if we said 9, I mean, if we say 11, then if they run long and we start at 12:30, then we're still covered, right?
Covered. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. You said 11 a.m. or following the end of the school district meeting.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Are you comfortable with that 11
Yeah.
a.m. posted start?
Yep.
Okay, also on deliberative.
Why is the internet so bad tonight?
I don't know. Like it's really
Voice
choppy
only.
for a lot of people. You there, Chris?
Yeah,
You went dark on us for a bit.
how's this?
Better. Echo, but that's okay.
Yeah, you might want to mute the mic on your headset. Whoop. Where'd you go? You there, Chris?
How's that?
Yeah, I can.
I'm glad to hear. Oh,
Can you hear me on the phone?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, let's go with that. Also on deliberative session prep, we had a meeting with a couple school board members and the principal. Tony was in on that. Ben was in on that. We've got a plan for using the gym and the cafeteria and having an outdoor, weather permitting, being able to hear everything outside, not participating in the outside, but to hear everything by way of PA. We're working through some of those logistics. Tony, was there anything that came out of that that's worth mentioning to the whole board? Otherwise,
I didn't keep notes, but I didn't. There wasn't anything that jumped out to me as contentious or uncertain or, needed more deliberation.
So that was about
Okay.
logistics,
Yeah,
technology?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're not sure yet what the broadcast capabilities are going to be, whether that's television by way of cable TV or YouTube or YouTube live broadcast. The consensus of the group was we'd like to get one or the other, but it's not essential. Where this isn't town meeting anymore, this is the deliberative session. We'd like to be able to broadcast it in some way, but we're not sure how. I think it's more likely to be a YouTube all digital affair, given the headaches that we've had with the school broadcast system and the town broadcast system. Tony, is that a fair assessment there?
Yeah. Because I remember one of the things we discussed was we can broadcast over the TV, assuming it's reliable, but that doesn't reach everybody. If they don't have Comcast, then they don't get any of the public access channels. And likewise, if we stick to digital, we'll get quite a few people that way, but we miss, the people that don't have decent internet service or internet at all are gonna miss out if it's not on the television. So, but it seemed to be the consensus that the YouTube broadcast would be the better approach, and that is recordable, right? I mean, it'll be up in YouTube, up in the interwebs, so you can, people can watch it at any time, just as if they recorded it to their DVR and chose to watch later. So, in the final measure, that seems to be the more comprehensive approach to getting the most amount of people who can't make it,
Yeah, I think the school's more confident in that system than they are in the analog TV system too. Yep.
But I think they were pretty content with the notion, setting up the televisions in the cafeteria and the spacing of the chairs, the ventilation. We've done it before. We've made it work. I think it's just a matter of doing what we know works. So I don't foresee any problems. The time will tell.
And that's other than that's it for logistics as far as I think we have this far. The only other thing I wanted to talk briefly about with the board was the voter guide draft that I sent you. This is not something I'm proposing that this become a production of the board, so it's not something you've done before. But I just wanted your feedback on the style and depth and usability of something like this before we get into real nitpicky editing, if this is something that you'd like to produce coming into deliberative session.
When do you need an answer on it, the final answer?
Well, I was just going to say, with the overall style and approach of it, I'm supportive, 100% supportive. I think we have to do something like this. I do have some picky edits, but I won't address those here.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I think a neutral approach that that delves into both sides of the coin for each particular issue, or the ramifications to the town, if it's like a budgetary choice or something that, I think there's a good, there's a right way to do it. We'll just, I got to read it first, but the concept itself, I'm supportive of.
I would say the tone of it is not, and it's not trying to show all sides of every warrant article. This is the board proposed all of these warrant articles and recommends them all, so that it is written as in support essentially of them. It's not a real campaign document, but it's definitely has we recommend this kind of feel to it. So if you want to try and do something more, if you want to make it even more neutral, it's not heavy in the convincing language, but if you want to make it more neutral, that's different. So I guess I need you to read it and
I'll read it first and then go from there.
Any other feedback on it?
Like I said, just picky stuff, but
I read through it, but I didn't put as much time or thought, into it as to make it a part of my discussion tonight. So not to put it off to the next meeting, but I'll definitely dive into it a little bit more to get a better thing. I just wasn't prepared and that was mine. My fault about looking into that more details on how it was written. I thought it was nice to have all the bullet points and stuff like that into it, but that's all I got. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll pick it up next time. That's all I need on town meeting, I think. I don't think there's anything else going on that needs your attention in that regard.
Oh, since I missed 2 things. Is there anything else I missed already? No, we all caught up? Anybody have any final thoughts or that they'd like to bring up?
nope.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Did we have any non-public?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Make a
All right.
motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
Aye, Donna Danus.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
Hi, Tyler Eaton.
Aye, John Moran. Good night, Nottingham. Thank you.
Good night.